Hi, everybody. I'm here with an old friend of mine, Gavin Speirs, and we're going to be talking about recruiter enablement, or a variation on recruiter enablement. So, Gavin, give us a quick introduction to you and tell us about your background and who you are and what you do.
Yeah, no worries, and good to see you, Adam. So Gavin Speirs, CEO of Solutions Driven. We are a talent partner. We have been supporting clients for 20 years. Globally, we do two things. We fill business critical hires and we embed our team into specific TA projects. Our focus is right first time hiring. So as a business, that's really our kind of USP in terms of how we deliver.
Great. Okay, now I've seen you talking about hiring enablement, and I want to know all about it. What's hiring enablement?
So a bit of background, we have been very process driven over the years. So we've always been looking at frameworks, methodologies to make our team more effective to deliver hires for our clients. And about 14 months ago, we have an internal sales enablement team. So our model is split sales and delivery. And I could see that there was a lot of value being added to our sales team from the sales enablement function. I think then we looked and said, okay, we're very passionate about recruiter enablement because we want to make our team more efficient. But ultimately, as a delivery organization, if we're not delivering value to our customer, then we're not winning. So really hiring enablement is almost the external view, and looking at what do we do to enable hiring teams. I think if we've researched over the last 6 months, Adam, I think we see three global issues right now. We talk about hiring insanity. And I guess, it links almost to recruiter insanity to a certain extent, which is doing the same things and hoping for different results. And also hiring execution, which is, getting the right hires when you need it. And the last one is hiring inequality. Are we really focusing on, being as diverse, and taking out unconscious bias as much as we could? So that's really the three challenges we see. I think what we've tried to do then is build processes that internally support improving our recruiters' effectiveness, but also they can be used to support our hiring team's effectiveness. So for example, looking at frameworks around how to engage candidates, equally important for hiring managers that don't understand, how much has changed in the hiring landscape over the last few years, looking at processes to how do we select the right talent. So what we've really tried to do in summary is build processes and frameworks that support our team, but also then support the hiring teams that we support.
Yeah. Well, we know a bit about Solutions Driven's approach to sales enablement because we had Dave Sweeney on
That's
one
right.
of the
Yeah.
much earlier recordings on this, and that was a very popular recording, and a lot of people understood what Dave was talking about, even if they've never worked in sales or sales enablement before, because a lot of it's pretty logical. But you do need to stop and think about it. So how much of what you're doing in hiring enablement has come directly from the learnings in the sales enablement area, and how much of it is different and has had to be learned from, I don't know, recruiter feedback or hiring manager feedback or candidate feedback or your own diagnosis, or how have you gone about creating this?
So I would say half and half. I mean, I would say, half of it is from looking at what is working in our sales team and, sales functions globally. And that's really around outreach, level of engagement. How do we, keep people engaged through that, nurturing process? But then more into the recruiting world, when you start looking at, candidate expectations, managing hiring managers, making sure that we've got a consistent process on how we are scorecarding and interviewing for best practice. That's not as relevant in the sales enablement world. That's really more into the recruiter enablement world, so to speak.
Yeah, great. Okay. Let's talk about technologies and things. And have you been able to implement hiring enablement using your existing technologies, or have you had to go and review things that can support other processes or libraries or whatever it may be?
Yes, so again, a mixture. I mean, I think the two on the sales side that we get most value from across both sales and our recruiting team is outreach and gong. So outreach from a messaging perspective, a sequencing, making sure that we are staying front and center of people's minds, but then also gong from an insights and learnings point of view. So do we ask the right questions to candidates? What are the candidates that prompt? What are the questions that prompt the right answers? Are we speaking too much? Are we listening enough, etc.? So those are the tools that have really helped both sides of our business. I think then when we look at the recruiter side specifically, we've spent a lot of time on building libraries, building wikis internally, making sure that we're not regurgitating or creating new Boolean strings, job specs, etc., etc. I think my only concern, I mean, that I'm a big fan of technology and probably spend too much money in technology. I think the last 6 months we've tried to consolidate what we're using and make sure that we're getting better use from those. Because my slight concern, I mean, massive fan of ChatGPT and everything that goes with it, but I think it's going to make better recruiters better, but lazy recruiters lazier to a certain extent. And that's a little bit of a challenge that we need to figure out. How do we continue to evolve that internally?
Okay, so I'm a potential customer for Solutions Driven. Like, what are the key things that I need to know about that you're going to be able to bring better value to me over other recruitment organizations because of your approach to hiring enablement?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think I'll focus on the search side of our business, and the kind of key assignments, etc. So I think front and center is a 12-month guarantee, right, against an industry average of 4 months. And why do we do that? Is because we believe in the process and the frameworks and hiring enablement that delivers the right result. I think we are very milestone and time-bound driven. So, we're not an organization that says this could take forever. We're really saying, we're efficient internally and we will get to a result by this date and measure us against that. So I think that transparency and accountability and measure. I think then the process that we follow. So we talk about the successes. We talk about how do we scope, how do we scorecard, how do we source, how do we select, how do we secure, and how do we satisfy. And again, we've built that because that's a journey that helps our recruiters, be consistent through the process, but also helps the hiring team understand where do they need to be involved, in that process. And then also leaving the hiring team with frameworks that they can use in future. So, I'm a real believer of giving them value. And if they choose not to use us in the future, then we've not given them enough value in the process. And that's frameworks around scorecarding, around candidate engagement, around best practice interviews. But the core of it, Adam, is if we're not delivering the end result, we just become an advisory business. And for us, it's about getting the balance of getting that right first time hire, but then enabling them, through the process that we follow.
Gavin, you don't just like look at recruitment and go, oh, that's quite good, I'm going to do that. You think outside of our industry, and you what I want to know is, like, where'd you get your inspiration from? Because you look at how to build a recruitment business a bit different to most other CEOs.
So I've said for years, I almost don't want to be a recruitment business. I want to be a business that does recruitment. And, I've had a real passion for SaaS and the journey that, SaaS organizations have gone through. So for me, I'm trying to build an end-to-end journey that is marketing, that feeds sales, that feeds delivery, that feeds customer success. And if we look at those 4 functions, the enablement piece has to be pretty consistent, throughout. I think, secondly, where do I get, inspiration or whatever? I think I have got a fear of just becoming another recruiter, right? And as a result, it's about how do we evolve not only our thinking, but our value add to, the clients that we support. I'm going to put a post out in the next few days, but I'm a real fan of the challenger sale model. And I think there's a space for the challenger recruiter who is, thinking about things differently, who is looking at process efficiencies, etc., with the outcome of, adding value to the end customer.
I could not agree more. I think that's one thing that we've got in common. I don't think either of us look at the way other people are doing it and go, yeah, well, we need to kind of copy that.
Aye,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Gavin, really great to talk to you. Where can people find out more about your business?
So just go to solutionsdriven.com or connect to me on LinkedIn.
Lovely. Okay, great. See you soon.
Thanks for your time, Adam. All the best.